About 1991. I came to WSET in 1990, and I believe it was May or June. And the show started about 4 or 5 months after I got there. So it would have been late 1990.
Late 1990. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the show. It is a very different show today, but talk about your experience going. First of all, it was morning. Now, it was very different because it was 6 in the morning. We now start at 5. But talk a little bit about that because that was something new for WSET. You all were kind of breaking ground for us here anyway.
Yes, it was a new show, and Kurt Davis was the news director. And I remember I was hired to be the weekend anchor and part-time reporter. But the new show kind of intrigued me, and I was really interested in doing it. And I mentioned to him that I was interested in hosting the show. And so he knew that, and some different things happened, and I ended up being the co-host. But when you think about early mornings, it's like, okay, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. But it's a lot because we did a lot of things with the show, and we often had theme type shows, and we just grew with it. Tab was a great co-host and producer, really. So we just kind of got in there, started the show. We knew how we wanted it to run. And at different times, as time went on, we added different tidbits to the show, or we'd go on location and do the show. But 6 o'clock in the morning is early.
Well, and you say host because back then you all weren't at a news desk. It was more of kind of a welcome to our home set, wasn't it?
It was more of a what?
Welcome to our home, to our living room.
Yeah, it was. And as we brought in guests and we interviewed different people about different things going on in the Lynchburg area. And, we started thinking outside the box, and maybe we could go on location and do the show. So yes, at first it was, mainly in the studio, mainly inviting guests in, and, giving the news of the day and weather, and, just the things that people are interested in knowing about when they get up in the morning.
What do you remember about that set? I think that set, I still to this day remember that set. Do you remember the set very well?
I know it was more or less a living room setting. I think there was a staircase in the back, and the news set was over on one side of the set. It looked like you were invited into our home, basically.
Obviously it's changed a lot. Now, a morning show, there's so many possibilities for things, and you're kind of on a different level when you work those hours from other news shows. Tell me something that you remember that, well, let's start with something funny. Is there one moment that stands out? Because you said Tab was a lot of fun to work with. And people have talked about he has a funny sense of humor. Do you remember anything, one particular thing that just will never forget?
Oh goodness, I remember we did the show from the ski resort for entire week. And that involved a lot of people because, we had a lot of different elements going on. And that was really pretty interesting because it was out of the city. It was on location, and, we tried skiing. We tried a lot of different things during that show that week. I remember doing the show from Smith Mountain Lake. And as you know, the location of Lynchburg is kind of in a valley, sort of around some mountains. So getting a signal out was sometimes difficult, but we had a good crew of people who knew how to do that. And that show during the week at the ski resort is memorable to me, because of everything that was involved with doing it. And Tab was a great co-host. He was funny. He worked hard, and a lot of times we pulled it off because he made it happen.
Now, of course, we talk about the morning. Was that tough on you, a morning schedule?
It was because a lot of days I would work the morning show and then report um, that afternoon. So my days were often 12 hours long.
Wow. But and you did, you did weekends also, right?
Did the what?
Did you do weekends as well?
I did weekends when I first came to Lynchburg.
Okay. Okay.
And then I moved to the morning show.
So you were on two totally opposite schedules with those two
Yes.
moves. Which one did you prefer?
Well, both have their give and take, but most people would like to have their weekends free, but I was glad to get the job in television. So I was willing to do whatever it took, whatever shift it was. So I worked the weekends and I worked early mornings, but you have to put yourself on a schedule when you have to get up so early. I think I had to be there 4:30 in the morning and prep for the show and get prepared. So it's you just have to focus on what needs to be done. And we all need to get, a nice amount of sleep to be able to function the next day. Sleep is important.
Absolutely.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely. You talked a little bit about one of the fun shows being going up to the ski resort. Was there a story or something that was on Good Morning Virginia, or a person, somebody you interviewed that it's somebody you will never forget, kind of made an impact on you, or one of those kind of stories that really got you?
Gosh, there have been so many, and just peeping into people's lives and learning different things about uh some of the tragedies, some of the triumphs of folks, and being able to tell those stories. Specifically, I can't really recall one specific thing. I just know that doing television news is a joy to me because no day is the same. And you never really know what you're going to encounter in one day. And, that emotional roller coaster is up and down, up and down. So, even when I talk to people, I tell them, you've really got to, be a strong person because you never know what your story may be that day. We talked to so many different people. We interviewed so many different people. We were on location many times. I remember the circus came to town, and we did our entire show from the circus over at the park. So I liked all of it. I
Yeah.
liked all of it, bad, good, and indifferent.
So talk a little bit about what you're doing now.
Sorry, I'm just making sure it's recorded.
Yeah, we're good. She's taking care of me. What are you doing now?
Well, believe it or not,
I guess what happened right after here, and then where have you been since?
Oh, okay. Okay, so when I left Lynchburg, I moved to Orlando, Florida, and worked for the NBC affiliate there for about 5 years. And that was quite a change of scenery and a change of pace. They had, many more newscasts, live trucks, satellite trucks, and their whole thing was we're going live all the time. So it really wasn't that bad because I did a live morning show. So I was really prepared for that. But it was a growing and learning experience. Florida is a beautiful place. And we covered a lot of area. And I stayed there as a news reporter, part-time anchor. And then I moved to Atlanta, and I worked as a producer for the Fox affiliate here for a while. I did traffic for a while, and right now I am working at the #1 radio station as a news anchor. So I'm still in the business, still doing it.
Can't let it go.
Couldn't let it go.
Oh, well, I mean, it's been so fun getting to do this and talk about Good Morning Virginia, because I wasn't very involved in it, when I wasn't on it. So I'm learning so much from everybody.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything I've forgotten, anything that pops in your head that that you can think of, or anything that sort of stands out. I feel like I'm.
So is the show, the Good Morning Virginia, is still alive, right?
It's still at 5 to 7 a.m.
5 to 7 a.m. Okay, so is
Mhm.
it mainly in studio?
It is. We are at a desk. We're a news show now. Strictly, it's like a 2-hour newscast. We have
okay.
we have a live reporter, 2 anchors, weather, a live reporter.
Okay.
And yeah. And so they did a humongous renovation of our building recently.
Oh
You got to come
my,
back and see it. It's amazing.
I'm
We have
gonna
a
have
really
to.
modern newsroom now. The set is very modern, with big screens that we stand in front of and walk around the set a lot. And yeah, our
Oh
newsroom
wow,
is
I'd love
great.
to see it
They really
sometime.
came in and almost gutted most of the building. And
Really?
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. It needed it.
So what did
It
you do?
needed it back in the day.
Did you temporarily broadcast from somewhere else?
Did what? Oh, how did we broadcast? We set up a temporary studio, and I don't know if you remember the setup of this place, but there were some spiral stairs that went upstairs. So we remember the newsroom was up. Was the newsroom upstairs when you were here?
Yes.
Okay, so you know where the newsroom was. That is now the control room.
Okay.
And then where the edit bays were, that kind of hallway outside of that got ripped out and turned into a very temporary news set. Well, I don't know. It all happened during COVID and all this. So
Oh
we were not
wow.
only renovating, but we also weren't allowed to be really on the same set. So we were doing one anchor at a time up there. We had to struggle through it. But then they got the set ready, and then we were still in our newsroom in the meantime, we had moved our newsroom since you left downstairs into the studio
Oh,
nearest
the studio area.
the
Okay.
studio area, and the one where you did the show it stayed the studio, and then the other part became the newsroom. Now that newsroom, we're now back where sales was, is the newsroom, and that newsroom that was the second studio is going to become the control room. I mean, it's a whole I can't even describe it. You just got to come back and see it. I mean, it's we've moved into the 21st century. We're
Oh well,
finally
that's
here.
good.
We arrived.
That's good because we had a good crew of people,
Oh, we have a
and
great crew. Yeah, that's what I'm
oh
going to ask you.
yeah, and
That's a good question.
they always made it happen.
Let's talk a
We
little
you
bit.
know
Yeah,
I'm
talk a little bit
sorry.
about the relationship with a morning crew. It's very different, isn't it? A morning crew has a different relationship than the other crews.
Yes, because well, like I said, we did a lot of on location shows, and that takes some extra manpower and a lot of patience because of if we're doing an on location show, then your crew, your engineers, and your production people have to get there before everybody else. And they always made it happen, and really have to commend the people that work there because a lot of times you turn on, well, of course, people turn on their TV, they see the talent, they don't always know what went into pulling a show off and making things happen behind the scenes because they see, the finished product and the talent out front. But a lot of the producers, the engineers, the camera people, all of those people are very important to any show, especially a morning show.
And just being on the schedule together, this very crazy schedule together, I found, at least with our crew, we kind of bond a little more than I think some other shifts do.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you're with this person several hours a day, and you're all on the same mission, is to, make your show, the number one in the market, make it look good. So I do believe once we started Good Morning Virginia, I think the competition started a morning show after hours. So we definitely made a dent in the market.
Yeah, and as and again, you all are everybody's on that same what time did you go to bed? Go to bed, we're all here. None of us have late night social lives on the morning shift.
I tried to be in bed by 9 or 10.
Oh, that's late.
That's late.
That is
Yeah.
late. Well, of course, you were an hour though. You didn't start till, I mean, an hour after we start now. I mean, we
Yeah.
start at 5, 6 o'clock. I guess a little bit different, but
You
still.
have to train yourself. I mean, I talk to the morning crew here at the station I work for now, and several of those people come in at 1 and 2 in the morning to get a morning show on that starts at 5. So they go to bed at 6 o'clock
And of course, there
in
were
the evening.
producers who were here all night. So
Yeah, so that's the little caveat that everybody needs to know is part of working a morning show is discipline, discipline, discipline. Getting to bed and getting your rest.
absolutely.
Yes.